Hi guys, my name is Akbar. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to discuss a really important stuff with you. So this comes out of my past experience. So what I'm sharing here is production support, do's and don'ts. Okay. So if you are playing the role of supporting production environment, which means a production support guy role, and if you are working in morning, afternoon, night shift, whatever the shift that you worked on, and if you are in a support role, especially if you are supporting a production environment, which means that your application has gone live, if a single mistake will directly leads you the termination of your job. Let me repeat, single mistake in the production environment leads to termination of your job. So you have to really careful. You have to be really careful while you are supporting a production environment. When I say production environment, it's a live applications, which means if you do a single mistake, that mistakes will cost you. Okay. Now let's understand a few basic things here in the production environment. See, it talks about production is where real customers, real money, real business operations live. A single unapproved or untested change can cause outages, data loss, compliance breaches. What you are doing, why you are doing, who has approved it, this process plays a really important role in production environment. While you are supporting for a production environment, you have to be really careful. Whatever the change that you are going to implement, is that really approved by the owners? Because that will have a direct impact who is consuming the service, the real customer. When I say real customer, the people like, for example, if you are Zomato, you are consuming application. You are the end user of Zomato. If something goes wrong in Zomato app, you cannot place your order. I'm just trying to give you an example so that you can correlate. If you really want to compare in real time, banking projects, take any banking project, take any retail project like a Walmart, banking projects like a Bank of America, JP Morgan, okay, any bank that deals with all real money. So customer data breach, security really important. Real business operations are alive. Single unapproved. If the change is not approved, then you're not expected to implement the change. If the change is not tested in the lower environment also, then you cannot proceed in the production environment. You have to be really careful while working in a production environment or providing a support for a production environment. You have to make sure 100% you are following the process. Process only can save you if something goes wrong. If you intentionally, unintentionally, if you have done something, no one can save you because that is a real business. Application is already live. Real money involved, real outages involved, business impact, customer trust, everything is get together process. If you have to change any configuration file, make sure you never ever edit that particular file directly before taking a proper backup. If you are implementing the change, directly editing the file by using BI editor, and you have not taken a backup of that particular file, my dear friend, next week is your last working day. That's it. That's it. So taking the backup, following the process by taking proper approvals, and make sure the change has implemented in the lower environment. All these things matters. All these things has to be there. And moreover, apart from this, there is something called 4A review process that has to be implemented on the ground level. When I say 4A review, one person is implementing the change, the other person has to be as a part of a backup. You need to have a pre-implementation artifacts, you need to have a post-implementation artifacts. Why this? Because before the change, what was the situation? After the change, what is the situation? Just to make sure if something goes wrong so that you can do the backup. So process matters a lot. Approved or not approved. Implemented in lower environment or not, because outages matters. Outages means what? When you hit your application, application is not available online, or the performance issues, whatever it is. Follow the defined incident management process for every issue. For every issue, follow the incident management process. This is directly referring to ITIL. For example, if you have acknowledged any ticket and you forgot to keep it in progress and you started working on it, like it's more than 4 hours and you didn't realize that you didn't keep the ticket in progress. You just acknowledge the ticket and you started working on it and you're doing good, you're doing investigation, that, this and all, that's fine, absolutely fine. But still, you have to change the ticket status to in progress, which means that you're working on a ticket and you're on top of it and you're working on it. You got my point? I hope you got my point. If you have acknowledged the ticket, which means assigned to your name, and you started working on the ticket, that's absolutely fine. That's what you have to do. But before you start working on it, or after responding to the email stating that you are working on it, or responding to the user in the chat, what you have to do, you have to change the ticket status into in progress. Okay, that's what this point is referring to. Next is log, document. Log and document every action taken from triage to resolution. So as soon as the ticket raised, what time the ticket raised, what time the issue has raised, did you ping the user who has raised the ticket? Did you take the exact time window from when he is facing the issue? In that case, you have to check the logs. If you're working on Kubernetes, check the pod logs. If you're working on OpenShift, check the respective logs. If you're working in middleware, whatever it is, whatever the technology, it doesn't matter. You have to check the logs. At what time? 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after the issue, so that you can crack it. Where is something wrong? Now, next is priority. Okay. So priority is really important, guys. So when we talk about priority, just give me a minute. Okay, sorry. So when we talk about priority, you need to understand the SLA, service level agreements. Okay. P1 ticket. What is your acknowledgement SLA? P2 ticket. What is your acknowledgement SLA? P3 ticket. What is your acknowledgement SLA? I'm talking about acknowledgement, which means assign the ticket to your name. And then resolution SLA. How much time you need to resolve the P1 ticket? 4 hours. How much time you need time to resolve the P2 ticket? 8 hours. How much time you need to resolve the P3 ticket? Maybe 3 working days, like that. Based on the impact. If the users are getting impacted, if the application is live, there is an impact in dollar, the user will raise P1 ticket, high priority ticket. If there is no business impact, there is no outages, then P2. Escalate on time as per SLA. Don't wait till it's overdue. So this is something really important, okay? Why I am saying really important? For example, the ball is in your court. You are expected to do the restart. And your server password got logged, or some XYZ reason you are not able to log into the server. You have to immediately inform to your colleagues, your manager, because that is a production error. You cannot wait until your password get reset. You cannot wait someone else come to you and help you. No, that's not the way. You have to take a ticket, look into the description, and if you find an issue, take a screenshot. Say that, hey guys, I'm having an access issues. Can someone who is having an access, can someone please look into this? Before looking into this ticket, please assign the ticket to your name. That's it. And update the user who is chatting with you that so and so person is looking in the ticket. I'm not able to implement because I'm having issue with my access. Something like that. Okay. Next, communication. Communicate status and ETA proactively to stakeholders. Here, stakeholders in the sense the person who has raised the ticket. So someone who has raised the ticket, after acknowledging, after keeping it in progress, you have to ping the user by looking at her or his name and mention that you are looking on it. You are working on top of the ticket. And you might need a 45 minutes or you might need a 1 hour. If it is 30 minutes, then better safe side, give it like 1 hour so that you can add an extra 30 minutes buffer. So when you give a buffer time of 1 hour, next time when the same ticket comes, they'll expect the same timing. But if you give 30 minutes, which is very tight schedule, then next time also they'll expect 30 minutes. So expectations of a client is completely depending on us only because we are the people who are supporting the production environment. So we have to give the ETA, not the client. You got my point? You are here to resolve it. Then it's a timeline is in your hand. Raise a change. For example, if it is a restart, you don't need a CR. If you are changing any particular configuration file as per the request done by the developers or as per the request done by the DBA in your production environment, in that case, you're changing something which is already there. That's why this has to be done based on the CR, not based on the ticket. Ticket is used only for kind of restarts, any kind of other activities. Okay. But if you are changing something which that particular technology, whatever it is, OpenShift, Kubernetes, AKS, EKS, whatever it is, if you're changing the existing environment, then you need a CR. Now, why I'm explaining all these things, before you take up anything in the production environment, your mind really have to be alerted. Your mind, because this is a production. This will have a huge impact and outages. This will have to be clear at any cost. This issue has to be addressed on high priority. And make sure every time you do, all the changes has to be part of a CR and all the changes need to have a proper implementation steps. Even though you're too good in the organization, even though you have a good relationship with application team, if something goes wrong, no one will help you. This is a corporate industry. Please remember, this is a corporate industry. You are not doing charity. You are getting paid for your work done. And when you're doing something, you have to be really careful. Okay. Next is conduct RCA after major incidents. See, this is something to resolve the issue permanently. So RCA stands for root cause analysis. How you going to resolve the issue? How much time it will take? That is not in your hand. As a part of temporary solution, you can do the backout and do the analysis, check the logs, understand the issue. Is it before any particular kind of patching done by Unix team? Is it kind of application patching? Is it server level patching? Is it infra level changes? Anything has been done? So you have to think in each and every angle and make sure whenever you are doing some changes in the production environment, you have to make sure you have to follow the I'm sorry, you have to follow the run books. Okay, run books or you can call it as a SOP, standard operating procedure, which will help you to implement the particular change. Now, what is the don'ts? So till now we have seen what is the do's, which means which you are expected to do in the production environment, and you are not expected to do. Never make ad hoc change directly in production without approval. If you have done this by any cost, by any chance, same day will be your last day. Any kind of changes approved, that is fine. Any ad hoc changes directly in production environment, that too without approval. Never ever implement any change. Before implementing change, it's your responsibility to make sure either the change is approved or not. Don't apply a fix that has not been tested or revised. Don't apply a fix that has not been tested or revised. So when I say has not been tested, which means it is referring to lower environment, development, QA, UAT, pre-prod, until unless something has been tested and reviewed and it was running fine after a particular interval of a time, then you can go for it. If not, then you are not allowed to implement some changes, some deployments directly in a production environment, which is against the process. Don't close a ticket without confirming a resolution with the user. Guys, this is a mind-blowing important thing. If you are working on a production environment, if you are working for a user-specific requirement, it is not your server disk space issue. It is something like user accessibility issue. Might be user not able to access the web page, might be user not able to log in, something related to user. You have to take a permission from the user. Either you can close the ticket or not. Either his particular issue is being resolved or not. Until unless he is meeting all the criteria. If it is a change, then he need to provide us CR like that. Now, don't skip documentation even for a quick fixes. So most of the time what will happen is some advanced changes will come into the picture apart from the document what you have been implementing so far. For example, imagine a situation you are working in the same organization for more than 5 years. Run books are there, SOPs are there, but still you won't look at those run books and SOP. It's a human mentality that you will maintain the steps in your notepad. That is really dangerous habit, because tomorrow that particular person leaves the organization and the new guy is coming and he's not able to work based on the SOP, based on the documentation, based on the run book. Why? Because it's not updated. People having a habit of keeping the documents, everything on their notepads. That's really dangerous. Don't ignore SLA breach without informing stakeholders. So whatever you do, acknowledgement, in progress, everything you have to be continuously in touch with the person who has raised a ticket. Don't share production access informally. This is something people will do very often and get caught. Hey, I'm on the way. My change request has been started. Can you please implement the change on behalf of me? That's particular scenario is really dangerous. As the change is in your name, I want to implement the change with your user ID and password. That's what your colleague is going to say. In that case, if you're going to share your user ID and password, my dear friend, that particular week is the last week in your organization. As simple as that. I'm giving you the scenario. I'm giving you the situation. I'm explaining when you are trying to expect the help which you are expected to do and you're not getting help. That is a really problem. Don't perform changes during freeze window. Someone will say, hey, our organization is undergoing freeze. We are not going to implement any change, but application team is continuously forcing you. Please, I need this change, I need this. Okay, don't worry. I'm not going to raise any change because the change need an approval and a change freeze is going on. I'll send you an appreciation email. Can you please do this for me? No, never. No, never. Please never ever encourage application team to connect you and to push you in a situation to they make sure they get the changes done. Never ever do that. Never ever do that. That's a blunder. Blunder mistake. Don't treat a service tickets as authorization to change the code. See, that's what my main point is. If you are changing or if you want to change the existing live application server configuration file or something, you need an CR, change request. You cannot perform that activity based on the ticket. Don't leave recurring incidents unresolved without an RCA. What is this? Don't leave recurring incidents repeatedly coming. If something is coming repeatedly, then you really have to do the analysis of RCA, root cause analysis. Used to log and track an issue, request or question. See, the support ticket and the change request, what is important here? Used to log and track an issue, request or question, drive investigation, track and communication, does not authorize any changes to production code, config or data. The only approved route for any production change requires a review, risk assessment, formal approval, includes a rollback. So for any particular CR, the rollback is really important. So remember, document everything, escalate on time, communicate proactively. When you are working in the production environment, when you are playing the role of a production support, process plays a critical role. Process is really important. Don't proceed blindly. For example, my change is scheduled on Sunday. Okay, I know the change is scheduled on a Sunday. I'll open the service number, I'll open the change, I'll start implementing on it. But that's a blunder mistake. You have not checked out the change is approved or not. You didn't check it out with the user. It's always a good habit. As soon as a change request is raised, you have to check with the requester who has raised the change. And you have to be part of a CAB call. When I say CAB call, your change request will be discussed in the CAB meeting. And they'll check who is the implementer. Do you know the proper steps? Have you done this previously? What is the impact? So these kind of questions, the implementer has to respond. Implementer has to respond so that everything goes smooth. Then only they'll approve the change and then it can be proceed further. Test before you deploy. Never assume a fix is a safe. So test before deploy. So you have to make sure everything goes, no CR, no change. A ticket only tracks the issue. It never authorizes the fix. So that's all, guys. So I have come up with some do's and don'ts because I see many production support guys are doing mistakes. Okay. If you are changing the existing environment or any particular configuration file, then you have to first take a backup. Point number one. Point number two, if you are implementing a change, they have raised a change request, make sure it is approved. Point number three, you have to follow the 4A review process. There has to be an implementer and the implementer backup. You need to have a proper backup for that. Once you have a proper backup, which means if something goes wrong with your network, something goes wrong with your access, you have your backup, proper backup to implement the stuff. Okay. I hope this particular video has given you some basic idea about the production support role. This video is really helpful for the students who has completed their graduation and they are yet to start in the corporate industry, yet to start their corporate career, if you are taking up a role of a production support, this particular do's and don'ts list is really important. You have to make sure you have to undergo a change, and change has to be approved and it has to be implemented in the lower environment. This is what the entire process is. That's all, guys. I hope my video has been really helpful for you in terms of knowledge, process. Not to repeat the mistakes is a big learning. So I request everyone, please click on like and subscribe my channel. I will be making quality content for you guys. I really appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Please click on like and subscribe my channel. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Thank you. Bye-bye.